One of the most unsettling messages that was successfully received from the other world was a message from Frederick Myers. It began with the following words: "Many souls that are beyond earthly existence become eternal prisoners of darkness, condemned to endless torment. What happens to them terrifies even me, a person who knows exactly how the other world functions." Today, you have the opportunity to hear frightening details about life after death, literally firsthand. Watch this video until the end to discover what horrified this paranormal researcher and who exactly his message concerned. Additionally, you will learn about the dreadful fate awaiting those who leave the earthly world prematurely and how these astonishing testimonies from the other world were obtained. You will also become familiar with the stages a soul must pass through to reach the higher realms of being and avoid eternal entrapment in a state that can be described as a hopeless, hellish condition. The story of Frederick Myers, the author of these cautionary words, began on the 6th of February, 1843, in England. Here, he became known as a poet, philologist, philosopher, and prominent representative of the first wave of spiritualism. He was also one of the founders of the Society for Psychical Research. Myers introduced the term telepathy, which refers to the ability to transmit thoughts across distances. Moreover, although he was not a professional psychologist, he developed a sublimation theory that was later recognized by renowned scholars in this field. Simultaneously, independent of Sigmund Freud, Myers revealed the mechanisms of the human unconscious. In addition, Frederick Myers researched phenomena such as personality disintegration, genius, dreams, hypnosis, ecstasy, and much more. However, he became most famous for his work on life after death and the associated phenomena. The last 15 years of his life were devoted to these studies, during which he wrote several books, two of which stand out particularly among esoteric circles. The first book is titled The Human Personality and Its Survival After Bodily Death, and the second is Phantasms of the Living and Other Telepathic Phenomena. The most astonishing aspect is that Frederick Myers continued his research and writing activities even after his death. The story unfolded as follows. One day, Frederick Myers undertook an extremely risky endeavor. He entered the roaring currents of Niagara Falls, fully aware of the high likelihood of death. That is precisely what happened. After leaving earthly life behind, Myers eventually appeared in the higher realms of existence and began transmitting his messages to 4 mediums living in different parts of the world. The most famous of these messages were received through the Irish medium Geraldine Cummins, who possessed the gift of automatic writing. Her recordings began with the following words: "I can only convey the truth about the other world as I perceive it myself. All my messages reflect my personal knowledge of what happens to the soul in the other world. I speak about this because, to me, the soul seems dead as long as it resides in its earthly body. Therefore, birth and death are 2 terms that carry the same meaning for me." The transmission of Myers' messages lasted 5 years, ultimately culminating in the creation of a book titled The Path to Immortality. In this work, the researcher of the afterlife noted, "For all of us who have crossed the invisible boundary, death becomes merely an event that we face with a scientific perspective rather than with pain." In his messages, Myers described in detail the phases the soul undergoes after leaving the mortal body. He claimed that each transition from one level to the next resembles death, with the soul ascending to ever higher planes of existence, in a sense dying to its previous state and being reborn into a new one. However, this death bears no resemblance to human death, as the process does not involve destruction or an end. Instead, it is akin to a pause, a moment of rest to process experiences. The soul is freed from what had previously limited it, serving as a tool for spiritual growth, and continues on its journey. The first level, where the soul's ascension begins, was called by Myers the earthly incarnation, the world familiar to all of us. He defined the second stage as an intermediate state, a sort of rest after life on earth. This sphere is a domain of semi-darkness, resembling a tranquil sleep. The third stage of existence also resembles sleep, but is filled with many vivid images. For this reason, Myers referred to it as the sphere of illusions. This world is similar to Earth in many ways, but without the familiar burdens of heavy worries and, above all, without the exhausting struggle for survival. Here, the etheric body is nourished with energy through the astral plane of light. It was from this sphere that Myers sent his messages to the living. At this level, the soul sheds its etheric body and adopts an even finer form. This allows it to perceive the many colors, light reflections, and sounds more sharply and intensely. All sensations at this stage become incredibly profound. But most importantly, from this moment on, the process of forgetting earthly life begins. In this way, the soul gradually frees itself from the weight of earthly passions and vices. This is connected to the fact that once the soul reaches this level of vibration, it attains such a high state that it becomes capable of hearing the thoughts of other souls and even glimpsing the future. The fifth level of the soul's journey can appear somewhat eerie, as, according to Frederick Myers, the soul burns like a fire here. It is completely engulfed by fire, but this is not hell. Rather, it is a purifying astral light of extraordinary intensity, helping the soul to open itself to sacred knowledge. In this state, the soul travels through the universe for a time, discovering its greatest mysteries and understanding what was unattainable during ordinary human life. The sixth sphere logically follows the previous one, as it is characterized by pure intellect, according to Frederick Myers. When souls reach this level, they free themselves from most of their gross and subtle coverings and exist as white light. Finally, on the seventh level, the soul becomes one with the Creator while retaining its individuality and existing beyond time. However, as Frederick Myers emphasized, not all souls aspire to the light after earthly life. And this is not because something or someone blocks their path, but for a much simpler reason. Many people who lived selfish lives become so accustomed to the baser needs of their soul that they turn into eternal slaves of darkness. Such souls lose connection with the divine spark within them, and even if they manage to reach the initial levels of the afterlife, they sink into their own illusions, becoming prisoners of these illusions. In the truest sense, they transform their existence in the afterlife into a hopeless hell they have created themselves, one from which they cannot escape because they are convinced it either does not exist or they do not need it. Frederick Myers also reported on the fate of souls who leave life through suicide. These souls remain in the lower planes of existence, realizing their hopelessness. They're quickly overcome by despair, and they desperately try to draw the attention of the living by moving objects, scattering items, making noises, and so on. As for those who did not voluntarily end their earthly life, Frederick Myers said that their fate is far from enviable. Such souls often do not realize for a long time what has happened to them. They frequently require the help of other souls who understand their situation and can offer them support. Of course, one should approach Frederick Myers' statements with caution, as he noted in one of his messages. Before I describe the world I am in, it is important to understand that you will only gain an approximate idea. I am conveying only thought-based messages, and the living mind receives and expresses them in words that are accessible to it. Let us know in the comments how knowledge about the possible existence of the soul beyond the physical world has influenced your life. Give this video a like and click on the bell so you don't miss any exciting new videos. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a long life and all the best.